Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm the Amateur, where I'm just here to talk life, politics, habits, hobbies, what have you. And I'm not necessarily professional in any way, shape, or form, so take everything that I say with a grain of salt. But on today's episode, we're going to be talking about COVID and the mandates and the vaccines and the nonsense that everything is. So, to begin,
people should expect to be at home, essentially.
Well, what you're talking about is our 15 Days to Stop the Spread initiative. We're telling people that we really want them to avoid gatherings of 10 or more. We want them to avoid any unnecessary travel. We want them to work from home if at all possible, or not go in. And the reason why we framed it this way is because when we look at the data, our numbers are where Italy's were 2 to 3 weeks ago. So we really have a choice to make right now as a nation. Do we want to go the way of Italy and see our numbers increase rapidly? Or do we want to go the way of South Korea and China, who aggressively leaned in the mitigation measures and were actually able to level off their peak and are now seeing significantly decreased numbers of cases? We really feel like if we can get America to all pitch in. We feel like if we can get America to all pitch in for the next 15 days, we can flatten the curve, which is a term that you've been hearing a lot, not overwhelm our healthcare systems.
So
and
15 days is enough?
15 days is likely not going to be enough to get us all the way through, but we really need to lean into it now so that we can bend the curve in the next 15 days. And at that point, we'll reassess.
What if the vaccine makes him sick? The common side effects from the COVID vaccines are generally mild and last a few days. But do you know what can have serious long-term side effects? COVID.
You know, my granny bird says that since I'm 6 years old, I can get the vaccine.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Big Bird.
But, well, I have a lot of questions. Like, what is a vaccine? And does it have to be a shot? And will I still need to wear my mask?
Those are such great questions, Big Bird, and it turns out lots of kids and families have questions too.
So, over the next half hour, we're going to be answering your questions, talking with experts and giving you the information you need about vaccinations for kids.
Bing bong. Are you vaccinated? Yes, sir. Hey, yo. Who's the president, man? Who's the president? Byron. Who's the president? Byron. What do you want to tell Joe Biden right now?
What's up, baby? Take me out to dinner.
Do we get it?
We got it.
Well, we know you're gonna be safe from COVID infecting you. When you go out, yeah, I know you're gonna hug and not worry, it might kill you.
But don't listen to Joe Rogan, right? Make it make sense. Stole that from there, right? But the whole thing with this, as you saw from all these videos, is that everything, like the mandates, the vaccines, were only meant to be a tool to slow the spread so that hospitals and clinics and places of care could appropriately manage themselves and prepare themselves for any influx of personnel that might need hospital care for the virus. And so a couple of things that I'll note on my end here is one, that masks are helpful from preventing germs from going out, not great at all from preventing things from coming in. And you'll see this because it's even before the virus, like they've been used in surgeries, clinical care, nurses. I think in clinics they'll typically ask a symptomatic patient to wear a mask to prevent their germs from going much elsewhere. And I say there was like some dude, like Uncle Tim, I can't remember, some guy, he did a little test on it. So like masks are pretty good at preventing stuff from going out, but not so much from preventing stuff from coming in. So if someone does feel symptomatic, like they have some snots, some snot, some coughs, dribbles, sneezing, like it would be considerate of them to wear a mask, but there should not be a mask mandate, or that shouldn't be forced for them to wear, because it's not like, it's like it's their, I would say, it's their own decision for them to recognize that sickness is within themselves and to do what they can on their end to prevent that from spreading. But like, they could also lie and just say it's allergies, like you wouldn't know. So it's like on that individual person. It shouldn't necessarily be something mandate, but it should be encouraged that if you are symptomatic, you know you're sick, be considerate, wear a mask. It's not that, it's like while you're out, and if you're like in your car by yourself, whatever, it's like you, like literally, like if you're going to be in close vicinity other, it would be considered to wear a mask if you're actually sick. But they're trying to make these mask mandates for those who aren't sick or who may be asymptomatic and can spread it, but it's just like you lose a lot more than you gain when doing that, just because we are visual creatures, we're social creatures. A lot of people need to read mouths in order to understand what people are saying, whether they're hearing impaired or not. Like, I have horrible hearing. I cannot hear that great. I'll have to repeat things like over and over again. I'm just like, huh? So it helps to see lips. Facial expressions are super important. And it also just humanizes people more, instead of them just being eyes or just a voidless face that you'll see and forget again. Like, this is a person, this is a human I'm seeing, I'm interacting with. So those are the things about masks. So they are good to an extent, but shouldn't be forced or mandated or anything. The second thing is that this is essentially like the new flu with various levels of mortality. And I just don't understand why, as something that we've been doing with the flu, as far as if you are feeling sick, don't come into work. Like, that's where sick days come into play. And this is like legitimately, like, you're having migraines, you're having headaches, you can't concentrate, you won't be able to actually do the job that's asked of you because of how poorly you feel. Like, take that sick day on your own, on your off. And I know some people who don't feel sick will still use sick days just as a get out of a work thing. And companies and businesses can only support so many days of paying their employees to not come into work. Like, they're paying their employees not to work and bring in that revenue for themselves. Companies can only support so much before they're like, you can only have so many sick days, or we need you to work, or we need to find someone else who can actually support. And so it's like, I don't understand why we can't do that with this virus as well. It's just the fact that we're literally shooting ourselves in the foot with all these mandates. It's because, like, you're taking people out of the fight, and out of work on potentialities when they might have the snivels, they might have a cough and a sneeze. Keep mixing those words up, but they're still well enough to perform their functions just fine, because their immune system is not weak and decrepit. I'm kidding there. But it's just like, we're at a point now that I think, in our country, where everyone who wants to be vaccinated is, and everyone who can be vaccinated and wants to be vaccinated is, and those who aren't are still hesitant and still waiting for the longer term effects of the vaccines, and who've made an assessment that their risk of the risk of COVID is not well worth the risk of an unknown drug that's meant to be injected into their bodies, like a foreign substance. And that's never okay. Like, I don't know why we do stuff like this. And so like, it's at a time as well where I think Denmark, among some of the other Nordic countries, have declared themselves out of the pandemic, that they've vaccinated the people who need to be vaccinated, that their hospitals are well staffed, and they're ready to take on any influx of COVID related personnel, in addition to everything else that they have to take care of. within their clinics and hospitals. And so they've declared COVID no longer a health threat to their citizens. And so there's no mask mandates, there's no vaccine mandates, there's no restrictions. You don't need to show proof of vaccination. You don't need to show anything. You like literally just continue life as if nothing ever happened. And it's just like, again, it's like the new flu. And so I don't, like, at what point will that be okay for us to do as a country in the United States? Like, I don't see any data or any reports right now that hospitals are being overwhelmed, or that people who do come down with COVID need hospitalization. They might just need those 3 days or so to recover, and then they can go back to work as normal. But man, people are, I don't know. I just don't think, I don't think how, well, obviously we haven't responded to the coronavirus as proportionately as it should be. Like you'll hear a lot of people say, like, it'd be different if you catch if the disease is super transmittable, and that if the risk of death from catching the disease is like 70%, like, that's ridiculous. And yeah, like almost everyone, you wouldn't hesitate for a vaccine or anything that would potentially help prevent you from catching it or feeling the ill effects, but like COVID isn't at that level. And so it's just making sure that we're responding appropriately with the risk of threat. So it's like making a grown man stepping into a pool that's 1 foot deep and still having him wear life vests, arm floaties, and a waist floatie. Like, that doesn't make sense. That's like the comparison of how ridiculous that our government has responded with the mask mandates. They're definitely overstepping their bounds, I believe. And that's just kind of my take on it. But what do I know? I'm just an amateur. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.